Hey agents, this video I'm making especially for listing agents, but buyer's agents will also benefit by some of this content. And what I want to talk about right now is the appraisal contingencies and the finance contingencies that we receive from buyer's agents uh, and the amount of time that's on there. And in this market, and in any market, it really should be an accurate reflection of what the contingency ought to be for the buyer who's qualified by the lender. And so today, for example, I received an offer on a home that we have listed for sale, and the agent put in 26 days for a financing contingency and 26 days for an appraisal contingency. And that when I see both of those numbers the same, it a red flag goes up, and basically I think to myself, this buyer's agent did not speak with the lender to really get an idea of how much time is required. Just kind of the offer is just kind of a cookie cutter standard approach that the buyer's agent is using. And so I called the lender, and I always like to call the lender when when I receive an offer on any listing that I have. Talk to the lender, get more information than what they normally put in their letter, and sometimes the buyer is approved, pre-approved virtually, but the letter doesn't quite state that. And so that's one reason I like to talk to the lender. It also gives me an idea of the professionalism of the lender, how attentive they are, if they're willing to spend some time talking to me on the phone, and really taking a few minutes. I'm not really trying to take up a lot of time from the lender, but I want to get a good idea whether this lender is really on top of their game, and are they attentive to this particular client? Are they aware of the situation? Do they know the name when I say it off the top of their head? And these are clues to me to see if that lender is really engaged with the buyer at a level that I would expect, so that I can consult with my client, who I'm representing the seller, to say, I don't think that this lender is really on top of it, and I think you're going to get better offers or similar offers with better lenders, or we can counter offer for them to get pre-qualified with a lender that I would suggest, something along those lines. But anyway, a phone call usually does the trick, and in this case, I did talk to the lender and had very good feedback, very good conversation, and I asked how much time they need for the financing contingency. Now, I always get two different responses from lenders. Some are like, they're not really sure what that is. They don't really understand the contracts, and they don't understand what we mean as agents when we say the financing contingency. I don't know why they don't understand that, but they don't seem to really cue into that. So I rephrase it, if they don't understand what I'm talking about, as to how long will it take you to process this loan to make sure your buyer is 100% qualified to purchase this property and you could fund the loan. And then they'll hem and haw usually if they don't know what an appraisal contingency is. They really can't give me an answer. But in this case, this lender said, well, how much was in the contract? How many days? And I said 26 days. And the lender said, well, that's too much time. I can do it a lot faster than that. And they started giving me a time frame, and they thought they could do it in 10 days. And I said, I'll tell you what, I'm going to put 12 days in the counteroffer so that there's more than enough time. And the lender said, yeah, that's plenty of time. And then as far as the appraisal contingency, we talked about that, and I said there's 26 days in that as well. And the lender said, well, we can do it quicker than that. And the lenders they can't control necessarily the timelines of when an appraisal is conducted, but some lenders do offer their clients a rush appraisal, and most lenders suggest to their clients not to order the appraisal until the due diligence is completed. So, which is, in this case, it's 5 days. It's not a big deal, but so the lender agreed that they can move forward more quickly and even order the appraisal during the due diligence period, because in this case, the seller, the property's in excellent condition, and the seller is willing to do anything that needs to be repaired. So we have a kind of verbal agreement that we're not going to get hung up on something because the seller is just selling the home as new. As a matter of fact, it is a new double wide mobile home, so it's okay. There's not going to be any issues that come up. There's already been one home inspection, cracked shingle because of a ladder that was leaned up against the roof line, cracked, and anyway, that's being repaired. So that's no big deal. So just by a phone call with the lender and a conversation with the lender, I got a really good feel that this is a excellent buyer. They've been vetted properly by the lender with their income verified and just everything. They dotted all the I's and crossed all the T's, and just waiting to identify the particular property and get the contract in hand so that they can begin processing the loan. So that was great. And then the other two things went from 26 days financing contingency down to 12 days, and from 26 days on the appraisal contingency down to 14 days. So anyway, that's my tip to you if you are a listing agent. Rather than calling the agent and say, hey, why is the appraisal contingency so long, and why is the finance contingency so long? The other agent's going to answer, well, it takes a long time for these loans to get processed, and they're just speaking out of thin air. The agents don't say, well, I talked to the lender and they need that much time. I've never heard that answer from another agent. So I don't even call the agent first when I get an offer. I call the lender first and get this information firsthand, and then I call the agent with good news, and I say, hey, I just talked to the lender. You have a great buyer. This is a good offer. We are going to counter offer on the appraisal contingency and the finance contingency because your lender said they can actually do it sooner. And the agent usually goes, oh, that's great. So I've done the homework that they should have done. And so when I'm representing a buyer, I talk to the lender for my buyer and say, hey, listen, how quickly can you process this loan? Have you verified my client? And how long will it take you to get the appraisal ordered and get the appraisal back based on what's going on in the market right now? And I get those numbers from the lender, and that's what I put in the offer that I submit. So if you're a buyer's agent, there's a little tip for you. It's a great way of strengthening your offer rather than just assuming that the lender needs a lot more time than they actually do, and making your offer look weaker than it could be. So anyway, that's my tip for today. Talk to the lender.